Okay, let's go for a flight with the new Radiomaster GX12 transmitter. And it's a miserable day as ever in the UK. I actually wanted to get this flight done for my overview of the radio, but I only had 2 days to make the video, and the weather has been a lot worse than this, believe it or not. So apologies, but this is the best I'm going to get. Now straight away, the gimbals have really surprised me. When I was holding the transmitter initially before I made my video, I thought this has a similar feel to the Zorro, but now flying with it, it's got more of a feel to the Boxer. Now I'm someone who needs larger gimbals to steady my hands due to a medical condition. However, I'm just getting on fine with this transmitter. With the Zorro, I find that I have to dial my rates down, and generally I find it more uncomfortable to fly with the Zorro, but that is not the case with the GX12 at all. I think I could do with a lanyard, which I would have used anyway, but it would get in the way of this stick cam. As I mentioned before, there's quite a bit of weight in this transmitter, which I actually like, but I think a lanyard would help to steady my hands a little better and help me relax some more. Flying this quad here, my fingers just naturally rest on the bottom of the 3-position switch to the left, which I've set up to arm and disarm the quad. Much like on the TX16S, it gives me complete confidence if I need to disarm quickly. Now I fly with my thumbs in mode 1, so if you're wondering why my throttle looks strange, it's because I fly in mode 1. And if you are a pincher, you might have a different experience than what I'm having now. You'll just have to try one out for yourself. I'll be taking this along to my flying club so everyone can have a go of it. One thing I have done is I've tightened up the spring tension on all axes, which I have to say I was surprised you could do with this form factor. It's a little bit loose out of the box for my liking, but it's great that you can just remove the rubber grips on the back and use the provided Allen key and adjust it. I've also tightened the throttle clamp, which you can do separately to every axis. I've even added a ratchet by adjusting the second screw on the back, which is marked T for tension, on the back of the transmitter. You will need your own 1.5mm hex driver for that. For some reason they've chosen a different size. You get the smaller Allen key for adjusting the tension of all axes in the box. You have to be careful as well, because if you untighten the screws too far when messing around in the back, then the screws will just fall out, so be careful with that. I like a ratchet personally because even though it can make your throttle a bit robotic, if you've got unsteady hands like me, then it adds an extra layer of resistance on the stick, which I find very useful. One thing I can notice, I'm not sure if it will come through on the video, is the gimbals clanking as I'm flying around. It's even more noticeable, but it's just because they are a CNC gimbal. I'm not doing a range test here, as that's not my sort of thing. I find Express LRS in some of its lowest settings just fine for how I fly. Actually, one thing to be careful of here is the power output of the radio. Unlike the Nomad module, it relies solely on the power from the battery in your transmitter, whereas the Nomad module has a separate XT30 connector for an external battery. I've currently got this set to 100 milliwatts on a single antenna, but out of the box it was set to crossband, so that's where it transmits on both 868 or 900 and 2.4 at the same time, and I think it was set to 250 milliwatts, which is actually 500 milliwatts in crossband because it's doing it twice. And I noticed the radio's battery voltage starting to really sag at that. So if you think the internal module can do up to 1 watt, that's actually 2 watt using crossband, which I think is just too much strain on your transmitter's battery, in my opinion. Anyway, there's my flight with the new GX12 transmitter from Radiomaster. Thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.